In 1993, Michael Jackson was accused of molestation by this kid whose name was Jordy Chandler, and by Jordy's father, whose name was Evan Chandler. These people were people that Michael allowed into his life, and he befriended them. And the next thing we knew, this kid was claiming that Michael had molested him. Back in 1993, this was unbelievable to all of us who knew Michael Jackson, because we just, really didn't think of Michael in any kind of sexual way. He was sort of asexual in our minds at that time.
If you know Michael, you know his heart. Michael was probably one of the most gentle people that one would ever want to meet.
Michael always told me he loved children because they were innocent. They never wanted anything from him.
Michael was always so protective of children, the side that I saw of him. He was such a family-oriented person.
All of us growing up, you may know about, we always had a baby on our arm, in our arms or on our lap, and we always gravitate to kids. It's just an innocent thing. And that's as far as it would ever go.
I was sick to my stomach because I knew that Michael wouldn't do a thing like that. And I was wondering, why are they lying on him like that? And I can imagine how Michael must have felt.
Michael called me and said, you do something nice and people try to fuck you. And that's what he said to me. And he was just so hurt. And I rarely heard him cuss.
Michael was on tour, and they took great care to wait until he go on tour to put this stuff out.
It did appear to me and to everybody in the circle, and also to Michael, that the district attorney, Tom Sneddon, was really after Michael Jackson. And he said, why would people believe this? And I said, I'm having a hard time understanding it too, Michael, but what I think is that for so many years people have wondered about your sexuality, and they've wondered, is this guy gay? Is this guy straight? No one really can understand it. And now that this has happened, people feel that they have the answer, and it's something that they've decided to latch onto. And he said, yes, but it's not true. And I said, yeah, I know that. This is what's going on. This is what you are up against. And he was devastated by the 93 allegations, there's no doubt about it.
I felt that somebody was trying to get something out of this, or they were manipulating a situation. Michael was a target. Michael had made a lot of money, and unfortunately in our world we have people out there who would like to get some of your money, and they will do almost anything to get it.
Michael is my brother. I love him a great deal, but I cannot and I will not be a silent collaborator of his crimes against small innocent children.
It was hard for me to believe that she believed that this was true. Just because if you knew LaToya and you knew Michael, they were so close that it just seemed unfathomable that LaToya would speak out against her brother.
I have seen checks payable to the parent of these children. And I don't know if these children were apparently bought to the parents by Michael or not. But I have seen these checks. And I've seen these checks through my mother.
Jack Gordon was the guy's name who basically put her out there to do things that was well out of her character.
I can't really say on television the words for Jack Gordon, but he was a man who had no morals and very little class.
You can come in contact with the wrong people without knowing it, or people that are surrounding you, they can have a strong influence on you.
And these kids are going to be scarred for the rest of their life. And I don't want to see any more innocent small children being affected this way. I love Michael very dearly, but I feel even more sorry for these children because they don't have a life anymore. They don't.
I had spoken to him on the phone the day after she had said all those things. And I have never heard him feel so much hate for a person than he did for LaToya.
I just know that it was something that was very ugly and disheartening, and the family didn't like it at all.
There's certain things that you're not going to get me to do for no price whatsoever when it comes to people I love and care for.
He was hurt. He was really hurt.
LaToya Jackson and her husband, boyfriend I guess at that time, Jack Gordon, and I went to Spain to do a TV show together. And there was a crazy TV show where she was going to be rigged to a lie detector. And then I was going to ask her questions. Can't imagine why she wanted to do this, because I totally thought she was lying. When Michael gave his speech from Neverland, we watched it in the green room backstage at this TV show.
I ask all of you to wait and hear the truth.
And I remember sitting there with Latoya thinking, this is your brother, and you're getting ready to go on television. I'm going to ask you these questions, and a lie detector is going to be swinging like crazy. And suddenly Latoya's price for that interview had gone up to like $100,000 from $10,000. Jack said, this is now the biggest story in the world, and Latoya is going to be paid appropriately. And the show would not pay her that money, and so I ended up getting a free trip to Madrid.
They served a search warrant on me, which allowed them to view and photograph my body, including my penis, my buttocks, my lower torso, thighs, and any other area that they wanted.
Michael did talk to me about the strip search. Basically, he said it was, the most humiliating experience of his life. He couldn't believe that it could happen. He couldn't imagine that the law provided for such a thing.
Stoop is low. Is trying to take pictures of a person's genitals and just trying to humiliate him like that. That was terrible.
If that can happen, anything can happen. This man could end up going to jail, because this guy, Tom Sneddon, he is definitely after Michael Jackson. And he's got power. He's got the law behind him. It was a real wake-up call.
I remember Michael calling me at 2 a.m. in the morning, and we spoke till 5 a.m. And he told me he would never, ever settle that case. He would never give the guy a dime. I said, you're right. If you pay him off, people are going to think you were guilty. He said he would never do that.
Michael was getting some really horrible advice at the time from lawyers, saying, let's just get rid of it, settle it out and people will forget it and go away.
The time has come for Michael Jackson to move on to do business, to get on with his life, to start the healing process, and to move his career forward to even greater heights.
When they'd settled the case by paying off, right away the next day I called Michael, why did you do that? And Michael said, Mother, I didn't do that. I wanted to fight it to the end. But they told me, the lawyers and things told me, just go on and pay it off and settle it.
He just heard a lot of people making a lot of promises, telling him, it's no big deal. I pay him the money. It's like a quarter to you.
The reason they did it was because Michael was out on tour. They had accused him of this terrible thing, and they didn't want to stop the tour, so they just paid it off.
It was too late. He got some of the worst advice probably in the music business.
I interviewed Michael right after he made the settlement, and I asked him, why did you do it? Don't you realize that from this moment on, people are going to believe you were guilty? And Michael said he didn't care. He said, it's my life, it's my career, it's my choice. I discussed it with him many years later, and he did regret the settlement. It was one thing in the moment, when you're in pain and you're making a decision based on the pain of the moment. It's another thing when years go by and you look back on it and you think, why did I do that? And it wasn't about the $17 million. That meant nothing to him. It was paid out in an installment plan, like he was buying a refrigerator. It really meant nothing to him. It was just the fact that people believed he settled because he was guilty that really pissed him off.